started. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. All right, we are going to start off on big news story over the last few days. Harvey Weinstein. He was... That's how the jury felt, because he was convicted yesterday of he was found guilty of a criminal sex act in the first degree and rape in the third degree. He was acquitted, however, of the more serious charges of predatory sexual assault. He now faces a sentence anywhere from 5 to 25 years. So sentencing happens March 11th. Let's react. This has been a long time coming. This arguably was the man who kicked off the Me Too movement. And here we are at a conviction. What's your reaction?
I want to go to Twitter because a lot of people, including celebrities, because so many celebrities themselves had come forward with their Harvey Weinstein stories. And Ashley Judd was one of the first voices, a major first voice before like the New York Times article, before the New Yorker. And she actually, you know, people on Twitter were saying, we're thinking of you, Ashley. And this is what she tweeted. She tweeted like the fact that, you know, so many women, 90 women had to come forward in order to be able to get people to believe what they were saying, but there were just 2 convictions. Like, it seems like such an imbalance, right?
Yeah. Vanessa on Facebook says, we are moving in the right direction with the conviction, but I have a horrible feeling we're going to hear time served or some other leniency they reserve for the rich. I was wondering about that too. You know, whether the judge could kind of go his or her own route with this and not do the 5 to, you know, 20 or 25. The other thing, another person I was thinking about here is Annabella Sciorra. Because Annabella Sciorra was one of my favorite actresses. In the 90s, she was in Jungle Fever. She was brilliant. Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Sopranos.
And then The Sopranos later, right? But there was a gap there in the early 2000s where Annabella disappeared, right? And now as you fill in the blanks, you think, well, now we maybe understand what happened to her.
She was one of the accusers.
She was one of the accusers, and so was she not getting the roles? Was she kind of blacklisted? Look at what she went through. So I was thinking about her yesterday.
But before she was an accuser, she was one of those people who either refused or, you know, didn't want to play whatever like game that he wanted to play with these women,
and, so
and
she
that's
paid a
the
price.
backlash.
That's
and
the
then
backlash.
and then became so a victim, then an accuser, and yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
that's
on the
quite
one
the
hand,
journey.
You know, obviously it's very vindicating on one hand. Like, we know survivors are so often dismissed, not believed, attacked, often blamed. So this particular verdict, especially using the word rape, where for a long time we had to say allegedly. That's a big...
He's a convicted
rapist. Like, that's a big... It has a weight. I mean, on the other hand, I do feel conflicted about the sort of justice aspect of this, because I don't know exactly what that looks like, or what exactly ultimately we want. You know, if he just gets time served, how will we feel about that? And does it exactly matter if there are still many Harvey Weinsteins in many other industries still existing out there under sort of shadows? I think what we ultimately want is for this movement not to no longer be just a hashtag, but to make sure that we understand more deeply how these types of systems get into place and people can misuse power, and how sex and power kind of overlap sometimes, how consent works, how women need to be able to be brought up to use their voices differently. There's a whole bunch of layers to this conversation that I'm much more interested in next. The one thing with Harvey Weinstein, too, that really bugs me more than anything is that he doesn't seem to have any sense of contrition.
He's not remorseful. He believes he's innocent.
He believes he's completely innocent.
The jury read their verdict yesterday, and he looked at his defense team and said, how could this happen? I'm innocent.
And that's like, as you said, 100 women came forward with accusations, and I just think I would have a lot more. You know me, I'm like, I want to empathize with everybody in life, and I can't find any for him because of that fact. If he had some amount of contrition, I think I would be more ready, and maybe other people would be more ready to be on a path to forgiveness. We're not there yet. This is raw.
No, but what I will say is that I don't think we can underestimate how big of a victory this actually is. The reason being is that legally, you are now setting a precedent for this kind of behavior. We have talked so much on the show about how difficult it is when you don't have a quote-unquote perfect victim. And these two women, out of the 90 that have come forward, were the only two who had charges that stuck. Is because the difficulty and the complexity, people were really worried that this case was gonna fall apart and that Harvey Weinstein was gonna walk away. Why? Because you had such nuance and complexity even with these two women. At least one of the women, if not both, had been on the stand testifying that this was a complex relationship. And the justice system is not always a place where complexity and nuance are understood. There were consensual sexual relations between at least one, if not two, of both of these women with Harvey Weinstein. How do you handle consensual sexual relationships and then rape allegations with the same person on the same plane? Does the justice system, is it capable of that? We just learned it is capable of that. To me, that is justice.
It's huge, and it's a warning. It is a huge warning because, as you said, this started the Me Too movement. This is a warning. Anybody else who's doing anything else right now, it's like, hello, Hollywood, warning, because this is what awaits you.
I do think that, though, there are a lot of stereotypes and misconceptions and perspectives that still need to be challenged. And I'm gonna go to Facebook with April, and April wrote us a message. April said, I have issues with the length of time it has taken those women to come forward. They need to draw a line as to when you can bring charges against a person.
Yes, April, it's called statute of limitations. I don't know if you know about this, but the reason why people were like, if there was 90 accusers, how come there aren't 90 people on the record in court? It's called statute of limitations. And a lot of these cases were not considered because it was too old of an accusation for the court to accept it. So that doesn't mean it didn't happen, April.
Yeah, absolutely.
That doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Same thing with Cosby, right? Same thing happened. There was one accuser, one claimant that went to court when there were a lot of other women. We heard about a lot of other women when it came to Bill Cosby, who, by the way, is tweeting about the Harvey Weinstein.
April, we were talking about empathy a second later.
Yeah.
I mean, I would ask that April kind of look into maybe some imagination and some thinking about, like, have you ever been put into a situation where in the moment you felt conflicted and you felt like you didn't have a voice and you felt like you had a terrible experience, but you didn't feel like you could speak up? Maybe it wasn't safe to speak up. It probably wasn't. Maybe it wasn't, you knew that your job might be on the line.
And
There's
it
all
was on the
kinds,
line.
Yeah, there's all kinds of reasons why people don't speak up in the time. And as we've seen time and time again, there is power in numbers. So once people started talking about their experience, it's like, oh my gosh, that happened to me too. Hashtag me too. So I think, April, I think we need to get rid of this kind of stuff, and especially from a woman-to-woman thing, like to perpetuate this idea that that because people are coming forward later in life, that somehow reduces the impact of it. I think we need to really, really do away with that idea entirely.
And I'm hoping when you talk about the legal side of this, Harvey Weinstein, who has yet to face another trial in Los Angeles, who knows? They're two different districts. New York is not LA, but you've got to be thinking that the legal community is looking at this, and everybody hopefully should be shaking in their boots for a good reason, which is that if the law is going to back up claims and you can actually prove this stuff in court, it is a different day today. It's a different day.
So I was saying Bill Cosby was reacting. He says justice isn't served. He was tweeting about that, and we're going to deal with Twitter right now.